So let's talk a little bit about our workflow for this class. So this is really just a typical web design workflow, but this can be really helpful just organizing your thoughts. So first we're going to start with goal identification, so goal IDing. And basically what this means is what's the purpose, right? What's the kind of brief that we can write on this website? Why are we making this website? What are some of the things that we want to convey? Is the goal of the website to inform people about a product? Is it to convince people to subscribe to our newsletter? Is it to get new subscribers to our video streaming service, right? So what is the purpose? From a user standpoint, what do we want to achieve with this website? Okay, pretty simple, but you might have multiple purposes, right? So you might have, like I just said, newsletter. Your website might be a way for people to access maybe like a restaurant menu, which would also be under the Find More Info. Your website might also be, the purpose could just simply be to have like a kind of web presence for people to visit and find that info, right? Nothing wrong with that. It also might be to sell something, right? So there's lots of options for the purpose of this website, and before you start a web design project, you should spend quite a bit of time IDing that purpose. The second step is what's called a sitemap. Sitemap is really simply a way of mapping out the layout of the website. And a sitemap isn't necessarily, okay, so here's what the menu looks like, and here's what this looks like, and they click on this and it goes here. It's really more of a kind of general overview of the layout of the website. And by the layout, I mean the structure of it. So we might have a home page. I'm just going to put an H here. And on the home page, they can either go to, let's say we're doing this for a restaurant, they could look at our menu. They could contact us. We might have an about page where they can read about us. And maybe we have like an online order page. Okay, so this is for a restaurant. On the menu page, we might have 3 links. We have like lunch, dinner, and like late night or something like that. Our contact page might have a form to contact us. Our about page might have links to social media. And our ordering page would have a form, payment, etc. So this is kind of what a sitemap looks like. It'll usually end up being this kind of branching structure because you also have to think, okay, so if they click on this, it can go here and this to here and so on and so forth. So sitemap is the next kind of stage. It's almost like blocking everything out beforehand. The next step is wireframe. And a wireframe is essentially laying out the individual web pages and the interactions without actually committing to a visual style. So a wireframe for a web page, let's say for our home page, might look like this. We have our logo. We have like a little hamburger menu up here. Hamburger menu means like these 3 dashes or more dashes that whenever they click, it opens up a menu. Then we have like a word. And then maybe a little bar right here that says subscribe to our newsletter. So this is a basic wireframe. Our wireframe for the contact page might look something like contact. We have that same menu. We have form here, 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 and then like a send button. So it's just a simple way to kind of block everything out. It's almost like you're sketching out the web page without committing too much to the visual style or the content that's on the page. Okay, so a wireframe is a really important part of web design because it is your way to create a layout. It's your way to create a really simple prototype. Okay, so I might also call this prototyping. All right, this is going to save us a ton of time in the long run. If we can prototype the layout first, then we can go back in and make what each button looks like and refine it. All right, so that brings us to step 4, which is the visual design. And this would include making the actual assets. So I might take this, let's say this like subscribe button, and I might actually make that. So I would make, the button look a certain way. I might draw out its hover state. Maybe whenever we hover over it, it adds these little kind of glow around it. I might also at this point design the logo, whatever that might look like. Right? So there's lots and lots of things that we do in this visual design stage where we're making all these elements. So we make all the assets from these wireframes. So we're making all the assets, and then we're exporting them and starting to bring them into our actual composition. Which brings us to the fifth stage, which is development. This is the part that we're just going to do a little bit of in this class, but this is essentially the code. So it's HTML, it's CSS, it's JavaScript, it's all the kind of back-end stuff. So if I have an animation, this is the code that's actually going to get it animated. Stage, testing, right? This is where we would send it to users. We would run through all these different, okay, if I go to this menu and I click on this menu and I go over here and so on and so forth and get feedback. So this is sort of our critique stage. And then finally, our seventh stage is we launch, right, where we make the site live and people access it and give us more feedback. And then we kind of go into what's called a maintenance cycle where we might update the page occasionally with new content or new information. But essentially, this is the workflow for web designers. So we ID a goal, we create a sitemap, we create a wireframe, we actually go deep into the visual design, then we do the development, finally the testing, and then at last we launch and everyone can access our wonderful website.